Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. In this video we are comparing 3 mega high-end, which means expensive, automotive paste waxes. The first one, can this camera cope with it? There it goes, there it goes. Swiss wax, best of show. I think this is their most iconic kind of show wax, the epitome of their range. We'll talk a little bit more about it later on. Swiss wax made a name for themselves with their waxes and how exotic they are and their use with classic cars, and they really established themselves early, you know, going back a few decades as being one of the kind of premium automotive brands. But, you know, the market perhaps has moved away from paste waxes, although they're still big. You've now got a big share of that market being dominated by ceramic coatings and people feeling like they could go and get the ultimate protection packages with ceramic coatings that last longer, and you could have your glass protected and your wheels protected, even your tyres now, and your leather with ceramic coatings, and everything could be protected with a ceramic coating, your trim. So, you know, wax isn't quite dead, but it's now sharing the market with more modern kind of protection products. There's a nice little bit of history there for you. Now, next up, Zymol, another, you know, kind of brand that have been around a long time and established themselves as like a premium wax maker, and this is Zymol Glaceur, really iconic paste wax. And finally, the third product is the Scholl Premium. Come on, you can do it. The Scholl Premium Vintage Wax, which I think won the PVD Mega Test, which was a massive wax test where we did down at Autoglim Laboratories about 5 years ago, and tested them all with tri-band gloss meters and, you know, UV tanks and all that sort of stuff. And I think this was recommended based on its gloss, maybe not overall, because again it's a very expensive wax. Now let's talk about prices. Before I carry on, please forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you're new to detailing, check out my training module, and you can also support the channel through Patreon. There's the triple plug. I did it very quickly that time, didn't I? Now, prices. The Swiss Wax Best of Show, according to the Swiss Wax website, costs £240 for 200ml. Apologies, prices may vary, so always check other, you know, guys for the best price, but that was, I believe, on the Swiss Wax site. So £240 for 200ml of wax. 200ml of wax is quite a lot, but £240 is also quite a lot. Next up, Zymol. This isn't in any particular order on price. £95 for 226ml. Again, shop around, check your prices. So it's about half the price, very crudely, about half the price. I have to be careful with everything I say. And Scholl Vintage Premium Vintage Wax, £115 crudely for 200ml. So again, that's a little bit more expensive than the Zymol, isn't it? But about half the price crudely of the Swiss Wax. So Swiss Wax are really setting themselves in the market by saying this, you know, this is double the price of other premium offerings. Okay, now we always test stuff. You know, detailing products, the differences between them are marginal, really are marginal. And they are quite difficult to test, and you could just really use anything if you like it and all that sort of stuff. But we said that many times, so always important to repeat it. Let's talk about gloss now, guys. I've put these on a flat test panel, buffed them all following the instructions, and these instructions are quite vague actually on these. In fact, kind of on the tin that I've got here, there's very little really. For example, Zymol, wash and dry the car with Zymol Clear HD Cleanse. We haven't done that. Melt a smaller wax in your palms and apply gently. We've used an applicator rather than our palms. Why? Because I don't want to touch car panels with my hands. If there's any little specks of dirt and dust on them, an applicator will pick those up and it will sort of sit in the pores. But if you're rubbing it with your hands, you're much more likely to scratch paint, in my opinion. So I will test these using the same methods. Without you, because John, you're not following the instructions. Yes, but I'm telling you, so I'll get the criticism, but at least I'm telling you. Buff without pressure to a high gloss using Zymol micro wipes. I'm not using Zymol micro wipes. Do not allow to dry in big capitals. Swiss Wax instructions. Okay, where are they here? Prepare the paintwork with a cleaner fluid regular. Apply wax with a sponge applicator, that's interesting, black, or by the palms of your hand. So you can do either with this one. You can do either with the Zymol as well. Do not let dry, in capitals as well. Wipe to a high gloss using Swiss Wax fluffy microfiber towel. They don't miss a trick with getting you to use their towels. It's not bad, I'm not criticising. I have not used their towel. Do not let dry is the other thing, but no real guidance on how long you should leave it on the paint. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Never mind. And on this, there is no real instructions, as far as I can see, on how to apply the wax. It's all signed by whoever packed it and all that sort of stuff, or maybe whoever brewed it. Julia Briers, I think it says. But no instructions, just tells you a little bit about it. And there's no instructions on the tin, within the tin either. There's some health and safety stuff. So, you know, put some instructions. I think it's always important to have instructions on the products. Shoal may well have it on their website and stuff like that, but you're working on cars, you don't want to be going and Googling stuff for instructions. Anyway, we know how to apply paste wax. We measured the gloss on a test panel after installing the products. We left it 24 hours as well, just so that any solvents in there can fully vaporise, and it's inside during that time. So we get a proper cure after the buff. We didn't leave the product on there before buffing for 24 hours. The results of the gloss. 5 metre gloss reading averages. Glaceur and Boss both picked up 88.2. Averages, identical, which is a little bit unusual. Just luck, it's not that unusual, because, you know. And the Shoal Vintage picked up 87.0. Testing waxes on high gloss is always a bit of a funny one. You're better off testing on lower gloss panels, in my opinion. I've talked about that before. Anyway, those results are good. They've managed to add a couple of units of gloss. You're talking about 85 units, something like that, prior to adding the products. That's actually reasonably impressive. Paste waxes, as we've said before, are pretty good on adding gloss, but when you've got a high gloss panel, any product struggles. So if you polish up a panel really nicely, you're not really adding gloss, but you're adding something. You can see when you've buffed it, there's something going on, bit jet-in, luster, all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that's price and that's gloss. Water repellency. We checked the water repellency. If you want the most repellent product of the three, it's the Zymol Glacier. That's actually really repellent. Somewhere in the middle, with a decent amount of repellency, is the Swiss Wax Boss. And the Premium Vintage, which looks to me like a heavy carnauba product, doesn't have the repellency. You know, compared to the other two, it's not bad. So the Zymol is the beater of the three, basically. Now, what are these products like to work with, to lay out and buff, which is quite important. This product, first of all, it was brimmed. When I first opened this product, it was like so much wax in there, it sort of stuck to the lid. So they could just drop that level down a little bit. This is one of the most cakey, thick waxes I've ever seen in my life. It's rock hard. It is loaded with carnauba. And it's grainy, it's thick, but it's also oily. And when you start to work it, you can feel that oiliness in it, that butteriness. And it's lovely. It smells of cocoa, which is the oil that they've used in there. And it just smells absolutely amazing, which, okay, it's not that important to me, but I'd rather it smell nice than a very heavy kind of solvents honk. So what's the wax like to apply? Beautiful. Spread it. It does start to dry and cure out on you, but you never, unless you leave it for a ton of time, you'll always be able to buff it reasonably easily. It's a lovely product to spread and work with, okay? Next up, the Swiss Wax Best of Show. This stuff is unusual. This stuff is unusual because I look at waxes, you know, oil-based waxes, and most of them I can sort of get a rough idea of what they're doing. And I might be able to say, oh, I know some of them are really like balm-like and paste-like, and other ones are dry and grainy. But I've never seen waxes quite like the Swiss Wax waxes. they have little clumps of kind of wax in there, and they're very dry on the surface. So if you leave the lid off, it will dry out, and some waxes won't do that as quickly. Okay, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. But as soon as you start working the wax, the oiliness comes back to it, which is quite clever. So it's got quite a light, fast vaping solvent in this product. It is loaded with scent. So strong, the scent. It's like a passion fruit thing. And it spreads really nice on the panel, and it buffs really nice. And yes, I tested on my silver panel, if you just leave this product to dry, because they're saying capitals, do not let dry, it buffed absolutely fine. But the key with the Swiss Wax, I think, is to lay it out and just give it a moment, you know, like 30 seconds to a minute, and before you get the dry cure, you just buff it, and it comes off the panel so nice without any kind of smeariness or anything like that. I love using a Swiss Wax wax. Now, there is a difference. The Zymel product, out of all of them, looks a lot more familiar to me, like the balance of the wax. It's so much more oilier than the others. It's really oily, and it will never dry. Even if you leave this lid off by mistake for like an hour, it won't dry the surface of the wax out. So there's a lot more oil in this particular product, and it's the loosest to spread because of that oil, and it's the one that cures a little bit slower than the others. So it's harder to accidentally leave this and have it dry out. You'd have to be really careless and go away or something happens. So again, if you do leave it and it dries, it's not difficult to buff. So I don't know why they're saying that so bad in big letters. All three products are really, really nice to use, which is what you want from these waxes. Whoever makes these waxes, and the different companies and stuff like that, they know what they're doing. They really do. And I couldn't make a wax as light as any of these three to buff. They're really, really nice. Next up, detergent resistance. If you want to know what the biggest difference is between classic type paste waxes with oil in them and organic waxes and modern day car products, it's detergent resistance. These products, I've used the Garage Therapy product neat, okay, on these products, which is a very aggressive thing. You're not supposed to use it neat and all that sort of stuff, and it's a very strong decon product that will degrade protection. Don't want to use the word strip because it doesn't claim that, and you can never guarantee the stripping of products with detergents. You know, we've said that before. But this product just smacked these waxes off of the panel with around about sort of 3 to 4 minute dwell time and rinse. I've done similar tests on modern abrasives, and I could be there all day long, even with this product neat, even with wheel acids and all that sort of stuff. That's your main difference between old school products and modern ones. So these products, for me, I'm not formally testing their durability. You'd need to get them on a car and all that, but I think you're looking at, you know, maybe 1 to 2 months, something like that, depending on how you wash them. So they're products that you would use more often, and you would not, you know, you'd not be expecting miracle durability. And yes, with these old school products, then using pH neutral, you know, detergents and stuff might help or will help maintain them over stronger alkalines. And there is a difference. So that whole industry pH neutral thing applies more to these products. Different discussion. That's a very important part of this review though. What you're not getting with these premium old school classic paste waxes is detergent resistance, chemical resistance. Now, a little note on waxes. The key thing about, the controversial thing about this video is the price of all these products. Now, how do I tip this as a reviewer? Do I say these products are a rip-off? Because you can go and buy a £14 paste wax from Built Hamber, Finny Wax, or like a Colonite type product, you know, wax which is about 20 to 30 quid, like is it Colonite 476 or Colonite 915, Marque d'Excellence, or other modern paste waxes, Fuso Coat for example, the old one that just, you know, was 21 quid, would last 8 to 9 months. So shouldn't those products be the ones that are like 200 or 300 quid because they last so much longer? I don't have the answer to that. What do you think on that? What's the thing that is the value? Now the brands that make these products will say, well, this is a craft type product we make in small batches. We use exotic oils, like passion fruit, nut oil, and all this sort of stuff. It's all about the finesse using the product. It's not about the durability. And then, that's what they'll say. And other people will just say in the comments it's a rip-off. And I don't know what the answer is. All I can say to you as a wax maker, as a guy that's spent a few years making waxes and was obsessed by it and loved it, I'm in love with these 3 expensive paste waxes. Now here's the question. This is the key question. Would I go and buy them? Would I go and buy them? You know what? The answer is probably not. I wouldn't, but if I was wealthier, I probably would, because I am a wax guy. That's what I like to use to maintain my car. I just like putting down waxes. I like the buff. But I would be happy using these like in the summer and stuff like that, where I know my car's in the garage and the durability is less of an option. And I would be happy about using these on the black peril that's got soft paint, because I know the buff on them's nice and I haven't got to really attack the paint to get them off. So I'd use them like that. But I wouldn't be too keen about going into the winter months using them, because I think I'd wash them off a lot quicker than other products. And generally, I'm looking for something that lasts a little bit longer. I probably want something that lasts about 3 to 4 months. Like the Finny wax is one that I like, and I'm more of a kind of colonite guy, and the price points of sort of 20 to 30 quid are more where I'm at. So, which of these show waxes from these companies is the best product? Which one would I like? This is really difficult. It's not about performance. It's more about the kind of prestige for me and the buff and getting a real clear final finish. The Zymol one is a tad oilier and it can be a bit smeary. You find yourself, if you're actually putting it on a car rather than a test panel, you'll be flipping the cloths a lot more, just so that cloth, when you pick up all that oil and you can go and get the next one, it can be a bit smearier to buff, so you're flipping a bit more, but it's still gentle to buff. The Swiss Wax one, you have to time it quite quickly because it does dry out quicker, so you have to keep an eye on it, work perhaps in smaller sections of the car. I would say that the Scholl Concepts one is perhaps the most pure of the vintage waxes. I love that it's just this really thick, cakey wax. But I think I would want the Swiss Wax Best of Show on my shelf. Even though it's twice the price, I feel like it's perhaps the most iconic show wax of them all. There's just something about it, and I can't even put my finger on it. There's something different about it. And when you actually get it on a car and buff it out, if you get your timing right, it's really easy to use. And forget about the gloss meter. It makes the car look really, really good. So that's the one I feel is the one that should get the little pat on the back for being the most iconic of these classic type show waxes, and they have the pedigree as well. But Scholl Concepts and Zymol have done a damn good job, and this is, out of all of the things I've ever tested since starting the channel, the most completely subjective thing ever. You know, if someone else could come in and say, well, I like the Zymol one, there's so little between these products and they're all so nice to work with that they are worthy of being in this particular video. So you know, if I'm in a bad mood on a particular day, I could have turned this video into something completely different and just said it's an outrage that these products are so easily stripped off the panel. They're not worth the money. Just depends how you pitch your review, doesn't it? But I don't feel that way, so I've told you how I feel about them, and I really like these waxes. Probably wouldn't buy them, but I would love to have a little pot of any of them on my shelf. which is really, really cool. So let me know your whole thoughts on paste waxes and stuff like that. I love them. They're what I use. I know a lot of people like the spray products now. More people use the spray and buff type sealants, ceramic sprays than paste waxes, according to my recent survey of about 400 patrons. About 65% of them prefer SiO2 sprays and stuff like that. So technology does move on, and the market moves on with technology, but I really love a good old-fashioned paste wax, even if they don't last as long. Once you've buffed them out and you've got them on your car, you go for a cruise in that low summer light as the sun's setting when your car's polished and then waxed on top, and it's a good feeling, and it's a feeling that I love. So thank you for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Bye for now.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I when you